Hey, welcome to the Summit Host Hangout podcast, where you'll learn how to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit. No influencer status necessary. I'm your host, Krista from Summit in a Box, and we just wrapped up a series about getting your speakers to engage with your summit. And while we were on the topic of how to treat our speakers well and create a positive experience for them, I started thinking about how beneficial it is to be a guest on other people's summits. And not only for, the visibility, the lead, the potential income boost, but also to get a really good idea of what you like and don't like as a speaker so you can incorporate that in your own summit. So today in episode 71, I brought in a special guest to talk to us about pitching to be on summits. And to give you a background on this incredible guest, she's an Amazon best-selling author, podcast host, and founder of the Celebrity CEO Method. She teaches online CEOs how to skyrocket their visibility and get more press for their brand through Hollywood techniques in the Visibility Lounge and Applause Academy. She's been featured on Entrepreneur on Fire, TEDx, Terrytown, The Huffington Post, Medium, and BuzzFeed. She's clearly the person to be talking to about pitching. So without further ado, let's dive in and talk with Michelle Lewis from Visibility Vixen. Welcome, Michelle. I'm seriously so pumped to have you here talking to us about this.
Hey, Krista. I'm excited too. When you reached out to me, I was like, I've been seeing her ads everywhere. I think she's fantastic. So I was fangirling a little bit. So I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. This is going to be so great. Pitching, I have my thoughts, but I'm not an expert, and you are. So I'm so excited to get your take on this. Before we dive in to all the goodness, tell us a little bit about you and your business.
Absolutely. So, hey, everyone, welcome to the show. I think it's fantastic that Krista has a podcast dedicated entirely to summits because it is a confusing thing to do. So you are not alone, and just know you can be crying while listening to this podcast. We get it. We are here for you. I myself have run 2 summits, and I did them very differently. And we can chat about that maybe in a minute. But I run a brand called Visibility Vixen, and I've been doing that for a couple of years now. I started in Hollywood working on TV and film shows. And so that really taught me a ton when it came to story development and building a brand, AKA a movie, and putting together film reels and pitch packages for directors and producers and actors. And so that gave me a very unique perspective then to start my own business and help other entrepreneurs with their visibility and publicity techniques. So that's a little bit about me. And like I told Krista before we started this, there is a video of me in a chicken suit, and maybe we can, put that somewhere so that you can see that. So, I know what it's like to put yourself out there in a very embarrassing way and to survive.
That might have to be in the show notes, Michelle.
Right? I'd be up for it. I think that people need to see that, need to see me in my glory.
I want to see it for sure.
Especially since the set dresser forgot to bring the stuffing for the suit. So we actually took all the actors' clothes from when they came in and just shoved them into the suit. So in the video, it's coming out of my pant leg. You can see someone's sweats waving in the wind. It's hysterical.
Oh my gosh. I love this. I really like this a lot. So you're awesome. You know your stuff. You know how to pitch, but you can also, be walking around in a chicken suit with pants falling out of it, which is totally
confidence
normal.
Personified, if I've ever heard of anything.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. Okay. So I'm really excited to talk about pitching to be on summits. So I talk to people about how to pitch speakers, but pitching to be a guest on a summit is a totally different beast. And it has its own challenges apart from things like maybe pitching a podcast, which I'm guessing people have a little more experience with. Can you talk us through some of the differences there that you need to keep in mind when you're pitching something like a summit?
Sure. I think that building your pitching skills is really important because it not only gives you clarity for the host, whether it's a podcast host or a summit host, but it also helps you really clarify what your message is going to be. When you start guesting on other people's things, when you start pitching to publications, you're really getting into more of the publicity realm. So since we're doing that, the goal with publicity isn't the same as visibility. Visibility is building your subscribers, building your sales, getting that business up, running successful. Publicity is being seen as the expert and having that credibility and being known as the go-to person for your niche. So that for sure is the mission you have to have in mind when you're going to be pitching either podcasts or summits. Both pitching techniques are similar, With a podcast, you're really working towards pitching a couple of different topics that you can talk about in 20 to 30 minutes, just like I'm doing with you right now. The difference with the summit is that you're really wanting the host to know exactly what you can talk about, exactly what the audience will take away, and your main talking points. So if I was going to be pitching for a podcast, I'd say like, hey, Krista, here's me in a very small, tiny sentence, not a huge 10-page biography. And then here are the things I think your audience might be interested. 90-day visibility sprints, how to pitch for summits, and developing your PR plan, or any of these a good fit, blah, blah, blah. If I was pitching you to be on your summit, then I'd be saying, hey, Krista, I think I can contribute to your summit because I can show them exactly how to give a great pitch. I can cover, how to introduce yourself via your mission statement in 2 sentences or less, exactly how to create your email, how to give the generous action, et cetera, et cetera. So instead of covering 3 broad topics that might be good for a podcast episode, I would be pitching very specifically one topic and the key talking points so that I knew that your audience would really love that topic and that I would be the best guest for your show.
Oh my goodness. I love that so much. And thinking of this from a host perspective, it would be way easier for me to say yes to that and find a way to fit it into my summit when I know exactly what they're talking about. Because, a lot of the times with summits, once you know it's happening, like they've already started promoting, it's a couple weeks out. So if you're going to pitch to be on it, you need to show that you have your stuff together and you can get something to them really quick. And that is perfect. So
exactly. I mean, especially if you already have your presentation together, you may have done a couple summits already or whatever. I would probably even link to my Google Slides or something so that they could see, like, I'm ready to go. I have this together. I can edit this however you want me to. I'm assuming you'd love for me to talk for like 20 to 30 minutes. That's totally fine. And then we can open up for Q&A, whatever. Like, having hosted summits, you and I both know, like, there is so much work. Mm-hmm. The last thing you want to have to do is babysit your guest. So anything you can do to be like, no, I'm totally self-sufficient and I'll just show up on the day and do this and I'm up to promote. Like, your host is going to be going, thank goodness right. She's here, right?
Why didn't I pitch her earlier?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, exactly. I love that. I love the idea to link to your slides. That will make the host so much more confident. Oh my gosh. And I feel like that is like the biggest thing someone can do to get around the hurdle of the timing. Show them you have your act together.
Exactly. And I mean, for me, I've probably guested on, I don't know, like 30 summits or something. Mm-hmm. I only had to pitch a couple, to be honest. Yep. I do find that if you have a great visibility plan in place, people will find you and they will ask you. So that's another aspect of this. If you're not going to just be doing pitching, to put some focus on your visibility, because chances are you are going to be invited, which is a great feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. And once it starts, then it just kind of builds on itself. Each summit you're in, it's just that much more helpful. So yeah, focus, everyone, you just need to go check out all of Michelle's stuff so you can get your visibility act together and then don't have to worry about pitching. But if you do, this is all awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it's really nice too. Like for me, I started doing a weekly kind of promo where I highlight podcasts I've been on, summits I've guested on, and that just goes out on Fridays. And so that's nice because people who are in your free community, people that are on your personal Facebook page, business Facebook page, Twitter, wherever, they're seeing that. They're seeing that you're getting featured, whether it's public speaking, podcasting, summit hosting, and that also increases your chances of being invited, which is nice. As hands-free as we can make this, like, the better, right?
Right. Oh my gosh. Yes. I love all that too. So you were talking about, you gave us a lot of good information when you were talking before about like some stuff to put in like a podcast pitch versus a summit pitch. Can you talk us through how to effectively pitch to be a summit speaker? And before you had mentioned like a mission statement, your email, generous action, stuff like that. I'd love to hear what goes into a good summit pitch.
Absolutely. So let's talk about what overall goes into a great email pitch. Because like I said, you guys now know the difference between how specific you can be with a summit versus a podcast, but the core elements are the same. And the first thing you really need to have is a together and specific mission statement. So this is the first thing I teach in the lounge. It's so funny because people who are already making great money go through this training and are like beating their head against the wall because their mission statement isn't specific enough. So this is the way that you can really differentiate yourself. And instead of being a money coach, maybe you're a wealth strategist, making your title something really interesting so that the host, whether it's podcast or summit, can go, Oh, they sound interesting. So let me give you the formula really quick. And that would be I'm a title who helps ideal client result through signature offering. So if it were me, like at the beginning of the show, I could say, hey, I'm Michelle Lewis, and I'm a visibility expert who helps online entrepreneurs and business owners skyrocket their visibility, launch their unique show strategy, and start landing press for their brand through my signature membership, the Visibility Lounge. That's one sentence, and that covers in a broad stroke everything that I do. And that's put together in a nice way where I'm not having to go, hey, Krista, my name is Michelle, and I have so many dreams and aspirations in my life. And just one of those things that I do is visibility. And visibility in my soul is, that's when you're falling asleep. And trust me, I get pitches for the Visible Entrepreneur podcast every single day. I'm sure Krista does too. That is what they say. They just go on, and you're just like dying a slow death. So we want our mission statement to be short and sweet, and that's how we introduce ourselves. Great thing. They're going, okay, I get who she is. Then we can say specifically about the summit, what do you like about it? Have you seen it before? Is the first go around, whether it's specifically like we were talking about Bailey earlier and her Infopreneur Summit. Well, she's run it, 5 times now. So you can understand what the concept is and be really specific like, hey, Bailey, I think I'd be a great fit for your summit because I can speak about this. Then I know you love educating infopreneurs so they can get a leg up on building their businesses. If it's the first time summit and someone's going to be hosting it, then you can say like, for example, I'm going to be in a summit called Fight the Fluff in a couple weeks with my friend Andrew. And so I would say like, hey, Andrew, I heard that you're going to be hosting this summit called Fight the Fluff. And I know you're wanting to cut through the industry BS and give people that, actionable strategy so that they can actually move forward with their business. So I'd say something like that. My apologies, I just bumped the microphone. So that's what I would do for the intro part of the pitch. Any questions so far?
Oh my gosh. No, I'm taking notes.
Okay.
I love how specific this is and that you're not giving people time to get bored. Like you're catching their attention and they're reading every word instead of seeing this long 1 to 2 paragraph introduction and just not caring by the time they get to the good stuff.
Boring.
Yep.
So boring. Yeah. So that's the intro part of the email pitch. And then you go into the specifics of what you can talk about, which we covered. And then a generous action is something that I like to do in my pitches. It's how I educate my students because these people, especially for summits, like podcasts, yeah, of course, they're their own beast. But summits, this summit host is putting in at least 200 hours of work to make this happen. It is a ton of time, a ton of effort. And a summit host's biggest heartache is the fact that they bring on their guests and their guests do not promote. So just know that that's going to be their biggest pain point. And the way that you can alleviate that is a generous action in the email pitch before the summit even happens, before you get accepted. And that means following them on Instagram, giving them a 5-star review on their podcast, liking their business page, whatever. And so you would wrap up the email saying like, I really support you in what you're doing. Just wanted to let you know, I found your podcast. I'm loving it. Just gave you a 5-star review and just wishing you the best of luck and hope to hear back from you soon.
Oh my goodness. That is great. And that gets you on their good side right away. You could even say like, I'm willing to share this with my audience, of course, something like that. And you're like, oh, obviously I'm willing to share, but it's not obvious because we never know who's going to share this thing.
Exactly.
I love that. That's something I never thought of before. And I can see it's short, sweet, to the point, and it gives them everything they need to want to say yes, right? Like you're making them want to. If they don't, it's probably because like, I literally can't fit you in because you can't make it any easier or more clear. This is amazing.
They are going to remember that. They're going to remember you. They're going to want to connect with you. That's a way to especially get them accepted on Facebook or to connect on LinkedIn or something. If it's not going to work out this time, you're either going to get referred by them for something else or something down the road will happen. This industry it's a smaller industry, no matter what niche you're in. And so the goal here is yes, to get you featured, yes, to build your audience, yes, to build your publicity, but it's also to build your relationships because that's what really works for the long haul. I mean, I have people that are joining my membership because I did a live stream with someone in their Facebook group a year ago and they saw it. And, you just never know where these things are going to come from. But the only thing you're responsible for is having that integrity and that kindness to go the extra mile and actually make that genuine connection.
Oh my goodness, this is so good. On the flip side of this, do you have any tips for pitching like bigger name speakers? I feel like you gave us everything we could possibly need for pitching to be on a summit. This is pure gold. But like a question I get a lot is, I want to pitch this person, but I don't know if they're going to say yes. I'm like, use my template, it's going to be fine. But do you have any things that like really stand out to you? Is if you're going to pitch someone big, you need this?
I mean, I was a nutcase. I mean, when I hosted my first summit, the first thing is I decided I wanted to shoot the video in person. I had a Hollywood background, so I knew like that would be different. And so I was in LA, and my first round of people, I think 60% of them were local. But I was messaging people that were across the country, that were in Canada, and saying, hey, like, I'm not going to cover your flight costs, but this is what I can do. And I actually shot it all in person. People flew. They spent hundreds or thousands of dollars to come and be a part of the summit, even the first go round, knowing that not only would they be able to interact with me and a bunch of other entrepreneurs, but then they would, of course, be featured in the summit. And then I use that footage to cut together a speaking reel for them. So you can be crazy. Like, don't be afraid to pitch people, and even people that would have to pay money to fly to you. Like, it can happen. I have no clue how it happened. It's amazing, but it happens. And I mean, for me, I would just either message people, I would send voice notes, I would send emails, and I would just ask. There's nothing wrong with at least trying. And, you know, if you're a little bit nervous and it's a really big person, if you have a podcast, first ask them to come on the podcast. And then after you're done recording, be like, hey, I'm doing this summit. I'd love for you to be a part of it and talk about blah, blah, blah. You'd be surprised, but people more often than not, maybe not like the huge bigwigs, but let's say, you know, like I'm going to use Angie Lee as an example. Like, she guested on one of my summits. She didn't have to, but it was a fun thing for her to do. So you can't have that fear hold you back, because you might be the next Amy Porterfield. You might be the next Lewis House. Like, we don't know where your career is going to go. And in the same vein, people want publicity. They want to get featured. So don't be afraid of that.
Yeah. And that's something I like to point out to people. Like Amy Porterfield, for example, did not get to where she is by just staying in her safe little bubble and only collaborating with people she felt really comfortable talking to. Like, that's not how it works. Nope. That's really fun. Okay, you flew speakers, and you said earlier that you did your summit differently. This is how you did your summit differently.
Yep.
Like, what made you decide
to
do
it? Like a crazy person.
Like, I guess you kind of said what made you decide to do it that way, but I want all the details. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I had been a part of a lot of summits, and so I wanted stuff that was different. And because I didn't have a big name, it was like, how can I make this different? And I thought, well, I can record it. Like, I have 4K cameras. I married a camera guy, and my dad's a director. Like, I can, rope them in with free food to record this for me. And it was great, because then the promo videos were of all of us in person. It was something really different. And I think it really made it, as successful as it was, just because it was so different. But I also want to talk about the failures, because if you have a summit that fails, it's okay. Like, my first summit, it did fine. Like, I had Jill Stanton on the show a couple months ago, and I was telling her the numbers from my first summit, and she's like, that wasn't a failure. Like, what are you talking about? To me, it was, because there was a hurricane that hit the day my summit aired. And so no one watched it. People ended up purchasing after, which was great. But that first day, you're so excited. You're going to go live in your community and talk about it. It was a ghost town. So don't get discouraged if you have a setback, either with technology or a natural disaster or whatever it may be. Don't let it stop you, because chances are you're either going to be able to sell more on the back end, or your next one will be a huge hit. You just don't know. Summits aren't like a flash in the pan kind of a thing. And I think a lot of people tend to do their first one, and if they don't make 10 grand, then they stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's such a good point too, because it also gets easier each time, because you have the foundation there. Even if you break even, right? The next one's going to be better. Like, each of my summits have just multiplied 16,000, 22,000, 60,000. They get so much more worth it. And I love that you brought that up. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, of course.
Oh my gosh. All of this stuff is so good. I love that you have formulas for us. I'm a template person, so this is just speaking to me. Thank you for that. If there was one thing you want people to walk away with today when it comes to pitching to be on summits, what would you say that is?
The one thing that I would tell you is be very clear about your unique assets. And I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom. I don't care if you were on Wall Street. I don't care if you have a Hollywood background. It doesn't matter. Look at your press page. All of us need a press page. Don't attach it in the emails, by the way. It should not be a PDF. It should be a web page. Otherwise, people will not open your emails. That was just a little side note. But don't be afraid to acknowledge what makes you strong. What would make you an incredible guest? Let's say you're a stay-at-home mom and you're going, well, I'm starting my, let's say, mindset business, but I don't have any logos to my name, da, 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 da. Okay, well, if you talk about mindset and you're a stay-at-home mom, what are the obstacles you've had to overcome? I know one of them is for sure laundry. The other one is probably raising your children and dealing with not going nuts, having to be in a home environment all the time. So I would use those topics to come up with really unique pitching points of what I could cover, like how to master your stay-at-home mom mindset, 3 exercises that you have to do every morning to have a sane stay-at-home mom day. Those different things. I would come up with these unique angles based on my strengths and not sit back and wait just because I don't have logos to my name yet. That's what I did. And that's what worked for me. I had no logos, no qualifications, and I was able to book EO Fire based on that, just because I knew about color psychology. So don't let that intimidation stop you.
Oh my gosh. Seriously, so much good stuff. I think that's the best answer I've ever got to that question. So
Ooh,
I love it. I love it.
Excellent.
Okay.
Cheers.
Okay. So this is clearly not even like the tip of all your knowledge when it comes to pitching, getting publicity, getting in front of people. So where can people go to learn more about you, what you offer? I'd love to hear about freebie, your membership. I definitely want to hear a little bit about, tell us all the things.
Absolutely. Go to visibilitywixen.com. I recently, if just in case y'all are looking for a website revamp, I was like, you know what? I'm sick of going to websites, having to go through all the stuff and go to the freebies. I kind of just want to know what you have to offer. So right away, you'll see Lounge and Podcast Weekly and Applause Academy. Below that, if you want to, you can take the Hollywoodpreneur quiz. That's where I'll identify your unique personality type, whether you're a director, writer, actor, production designer, and give you a 20-minute masterclass going over what your visibility plan should be. So if you have no clue where to start, that's where I would start. If you want to go straight to it, it's just visibilitywixen.com/take the quiz. The membership is a 4-stage membership, and I take you through branding and discovering your visibility vehicle and creating your high converting funnel, and then starting to guest on podcasts, summits, and ultimately creating your publicity campaign. So you can find that at the website as well.
Oh my goodness. Okay. We will link to that in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on today, Michelle. This was absolutely incredible.
I had a blast. This was so much fun. Thank you, everyone. And good luck with your summit and good luck with your summit pitching. Get out there and just do it. Very few people actually just do it. So just do it.
I love that. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. For show notes and resources we mentioned, head to summitHostHangout.com/071. In the next episode, we're going to chat about what I have to say when I hear that virtual summits are overdone. So be sure to tune in for that. Now go out and take action to plan, strategize, and launch your profitable online summit.